What's a hack in your industry that customers aren't supposed to find out? Story 1. Lean into the bite. I work in pediatrics, and we're taught that if a child bites you, lean into it. Push whatever part of you they're biting further into their mouth. Because their automatic reaction will be to open their mouth, and the risk of them breaking your skin is greatly diminished. Source: I was just bitten at work. Edit: a word. Story 2. When I worked as a pharmacy tech, I spent a lot of time calling insurance companies and waiting on hold while the world burned around me. One time I got impatient with the voice recognition bot because it kept hearing background noise and made selections impossible, so I started cursing it out. Turns out, if you say the F word a few times in a short span, the bot recognizes you as an angry customer and will switch you to a representative real quick. I did this multiple times to a lot of strange looks from my coworkers until I explained the hack. Quick edit: since I'm getting a lot of the same responses, I now know that you can spam 0 or hash to get the same results. It's a feature being phased out in places. Shouting representative or operator also works. Story 3. When a car salesman offers you a premium car care package, don't buy it. It's a scam. Say you're buying a new car and I offer you the premium car care package. It'll only cost you X amount of money per month. But every time you come to the dealership, you get asterisk premium car wash, we hose it down, not a proper car wash. Asterisk interior detailing and rejuvenation, we use compressed air to make the dust go away. Sometimes a man uses a wet paper towel. Asterisk functions. Check and clock synchronization. Check if all the lights work, heater and AC work, and set up the clock if it's wrong. Asterisk summer and winter inspection and free wiper fluid refill, only done once per season. Check tire thread, visually check tire pressure. Look at temperature gauge to make sure car isn't overheating, and add water in the summer. Tiny amount of wiper fluid in winter. Visually inspect brake discs to see they are not scratched by worn-out brake pads. Asterisk. Assistance when you are on the move. You call us and then we can call a tow truck for you at your expense. Only possible during business hours. Basically, we charge for simple things you can do yourself. Also, if a car dealership sells you a used car and they told you it has been fully serviced, take it to your local mechanic and have it serviced properly. Story 4. I used to work in the floral industry. Don't call a large national florist. Look up a local florist in your recipient's area and call them directly. Most have websites to help you choose, and you'll save money on delivery and service fees, which can go towards a nicer arrangement. Also, unless you order flowers regularly, the membership loyalty program is a scam and hard to cancel. Story 5. Most industries have retention teams because it costs 10x more to get a new customer than it costs to keep one you have. So if you call up and complain, threaten to cancel every other time they raise your rates, they'll probably give you the introductory rate. Just be aware you might have to switch. Edit: threaten to cancel added. Edit 2. Another thing I'm seeing a lot is people getting shut down with no explanation. People hang up and call back. Just say you got disconnected, you might have better luck with another operator. Yes, they take notes, but some reps are more empowered than others. Also, feel free to escalate. Make sure you know how long you've been a customer and how long you've been up to date on your bill. Story 6. If you use Libby to download ebooks from your library to your Kindle, you can turn it to airplane mode and keep the books as long as you want. The next person in line is not affected. Edit. Because not everyone wants to illegally download ebooks from sketchy servers in Tuvalu, it's not any easier than what I suggested. Story 7. Used to make missile parts that were being sold to Lockheed Martin. The parts had extremely tight tolerances that my company found hard to meet because the machine programmer sucked. Eventually, we had about 100 parts that were within tolerance. The inspection guy decided it was a good idea to keep them as the Golden Girls. And every time Lockheed would send someone for source inspection, he would inspect these same 100 parts in front of them every time. So the company was knowingly lying so they could send out of tolerance parts to be used in missiles. Lockheed must have never caught on, cause that was like 4 years ago, and they still are making the same parts for them. Story 8. Home Depot brand mulch, Vigoro, is the same exact mulch as the Lowe's brand, Premium. The only difference is the quality of the bag. The material comes from the same pile. It's the same dye. There is zero difference. buy the cheaper option. Also, on the topic, never buy mulch or topsoil sold by weight. Always, always, always buy by volume, 1 cuffed, 1.5 cuffed, etc. Humidity, rain, moisture in general changes things. A week or two later, when the moisture leaves, that 40-pound bag that got placed on the pallet is now 32 pounds. Story 9. In medicine, if you tell your primary that your previous PCP ordered a test, gave you a medication, placed a referral, etc., and that you need to have it represcribed, ordered again, you can get your primary to order, or at least consider ordering damn near anything, at least if it's not a controlled substance or an expensive, unusual diagnostic study. The problem is that offices absolutely suck at transferring their records to each other, and confirming that story takes a huge amount of time. For example, if you have knee pain and tell me that your primary diagnosed you with a specific knee issue years back, and that you went to PT and it felt better last time, and I'm sitting in your chart not able to find any record of that, will I spend 10+ minutes of time trying to hunt down previous records to confirm this history? Obtain reports from physical therapy about the specific exercises you were doing, and any imaging studies you had and whatever else? Will I have you come in for what, as far as I can tell, is an appointment to reassess a known diagnosis that someone else already appropriately diagnosed and treated? Or will I click a button that takes 5 seconds to get you the appointment with PT that you want that solved your issue last time, completely unaware that the history I was given was completely fabricated? The reality for something benign like a visit to PT is that there's just not enough time to do anything besides send that order and move on. Story 10. I'm a teacher. You can learn anything you want now from the internet if you have the willpower. Teaching continues to exist because most humans learn best with someone to hold them accountable and human interaction. That said, especially with YouTube, if you have a little patience and aren't afraid of trial and error, you can literally learn anything. As many of you pointed out, plenty of room for nuance, and I am speaking very generally, but very interesting discussion, so thank you all. There's probably a balance to be made between situations where we can use our own intrinsic motivation to learn and the moments we recognize our needs for an experienced person in the subject to motivate us and bounce ideas off of. I do sometimes feel a bit guilty that I could be learning literally anything I want and I'm, scrolling Reddit. Guilty, I am the reason for my own job security. I also need the accountability at times. Story 11. This was 7 years ago, so may not be relevant, but when I worked at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, the higher-ups were so tunnel-visioned on positive customer reviews that if there was any problem at all, we would write off anything from gas to whole days of rentals. We had a few repeat customers that would catch on and habitually complain about dumb shit to get parts of the bill discounted. Only a rating of completely satisfied counted, and it was tied to bonus and promotion, so a huge incentive to make people happy. Story 12. Customer is a bit of a stretch here, but I work on federally funded research, so in a way my customer is the tax-paying public. Universities take up to 50% of all federal grants as overhead. Half of the money the NIH sends for cancer research or vaccine studies instead lines the pockets of talentless administrators. Then when we, at long last, finish our experiments and analysis, we need to pay journals to host our work, so that people pay them to read our work. We don't see a cent. Finally, when that's all said and done, after admin cuts budgets in half to pay the football coach and the journal charges us another $10K for editors who they didn't pay, it goes to the pharma companies and hospitals who take this federally funded work and sell it back to the taxpayer. Research is a fucking scam. Everyone except the admin of universities, journals, and hospitals suffer. If you have a child or friend who wants to go into science, tell them it's not worth it. Have it as a hobby, not a job. Story 13. Don't buy the first or last year of a car. First year they're still working out the bugs in the manufacturing process, and the last year they're focused on getting the new model processes working and less attention on the outgoing model. The very best year is the mid-cycle refresh. Processes should be stable by then, and the refreshed exterior are such minor tweaks from a manufacturing perspective it's not affecting quality. And as a perk, it usually looks better than the original. Former automotive body process engineer. Story 14. If you're in Canada, and have a retail trading account and want to convert CDN cash to US, depending on the urgency of the conversion, if you don't need it now, and it is a significant amount, don't just convert it over and pay your bank between 1.5% to 3% on the exchange. DLR and DLRU are one-day settlement securities. DLR is CDN, DLRU is US currency. Buy the DLR. Next business day, transfer it to the US side of your account. Sell DLRU in the US account. It takes the DLR and covers. That way you only pay whatever your commission is on the buy-sell. You don't pay the conversion rate. As I'm typing this, spot rate on the market is 1.36. My firm is charging 1.39 if you just transfer over directly. Anything that is going to cost you less than $20 on exchange rate, go ahead and just transfer over. But if you're transferring, i.e. 10000 CDN to US, there's a difference of $280. If you're planning ahead, buy the DLR, then transfer it over on settlement, sell the DLRU, you only pay the commission of $20 on the buy-sell. You are also looking at a 3-day movement. If it's a rush, sucks to be you pay the extra rate. If you have a margin account, you can do a true Norbert's Gambit and buy today, initiate the transfer, and put the sell order today so that it cuts a day out, buy settles, gets transferred immediately to cover the sell that settles the same day. But most retail outlets require you to do this through their phone brokers, so you have to pay the broker rate on the one side of the transaction, so it's more expensive. They do this to try to encourage you to do the transfer manually yourself in your account, so that they make the $280 off you. It pays to plan. Story 15. I work for a nationwide steel supply company. We sell the same plate of steel sometimes up to 6 or 7 times. What do I mean by that? Say you need a ring of steel that is 5 feet in outer diameter and 4 feet inner diameter. That leaves 4 feet in the middle being cut out of it. Well, you're not just buying the ring. You're buying the whole piece of steel used to cut that ring out of. The piece that comes out from the middle and the corners are called drops. If you don't request we ship the drop to you, then we do not. You get a ring and we get a 4-foot circle of steel to sell again or multiple times if we can keep cutting it. Story 16. I don't work there. This can be a hack to get out of paying a towing fee. I had my car towed to a yard because I stupidly thought it was a different day where I could park. Got my car towed, aware it's my fault, so I might as well make this situation a fun one. Walked into the office with a customer already screaming at the front desk. Waited a whole 5 minutes for them to finish, and they finally left. Front desk was just expressionless, and were clearly used to it. I came up with a bright face and said, "So if I scream like that, will there be a chance I don't have to pay for the towing?" They all cracked up laughing, and we all just went along the convo. Front desk stamped the receipt in front of me and just said, "Just read the signs next time, bud. We got you for now." Didn't expect this, but felt so boss when I left. Story 17. If you're in credit card debt, a lot of companies will allow you to negotiate a better interest rate if you agree to start making payments. You'll save a ton of money on interest, and your credit score won't take a hit from missing a payment. It will likely increase your credit utilization, but that's just temporary and isn't as bad. I was out of work for a bit due to medical reasons and put my life on a credit card. That is what they are for, after all. I let my card go overdue, called in and told them the situation and said I couldn't afford the minimum payments. They set me up with lower payments with an interest rate that was like 15% APR lower than it would have been if I'd just let it sit on my card. Story 18. I'm an auctioneer. I take a 20% cut on anything I auction off for my clients. This is the industry standard, and tax comes on top. I tell my buyers and my sellers that I take a 20% cut. I take it from both of them. If you buy something for €100, you pay 123, €8 plus shipping. And then I tell my client that I sold their item for €100 and that I get to keep 23, €8 of that, and they get 76, €20. I honestly hate it. Feels hella dishonest to take a cut from both sides. But everybody does it that way. And if I tell either the buyer or the seller that I get a 40% cut, but don't take any cut from the other party, they're going to tell me to fuck off. So 20% each it is. Very few people actually seem to realize this, and those who do are surprised and understandably suspicious. Story 19. I used to work in credit cards. If you disputed a charge for less than $75, not as fraud, we would just credit you the money. Most of the time, we wouldn't even investigate it past the initial chargeback. If we didn't win the case, you still got your money back. However, if we find out you figured this out, we would stop giving you the credit unless we won. We've even closed accounts that took advantage of it. But if you want your money back as a one-time thing or whatever, you'd be fine. Story 20. I worked for Wells Fargo doing customer service on mortgages. If you use the keywords lawyer, media, or government, we're trained to escalate you immediately to the highest level of customer service. Background. If you call for a question about your mortgage, there are 5 tiers of representatives. If you call and say, "Give me a manager," you'll only get to tier 3. The media/lawyer/government statements get you escalated to essentially tier 6 of salaried customer service representatives that will essentially be given a ticket to fully research your complaint and prepare a summary in a complete and total cover-your-ass manner. You may not like the result, but they will do enough due diligence on your question so they're comfortable they won't be sued. Story 21. Dog trainer, this is a hack we want people to understand. One reason we can get your dog to do something so fast is because we use a high rate of reinforcement. Example. I'm training your dog to walk on leash without pulling, and we practice in your driveway. I feed the dog 20 tiny pieces of food by my knee as we walk to the end of the driveway. The first time a client tries the exercise, they may use 5. The mechanics of the exercise look easy, but it takes time to get used to. And when people are practicing on their own, they do other things instead of focus on the exercise. They forget how often they need to reinforce the dog for doing the right thing. If they do the exercise for 2 minutes during each walk, with a high rate of reinforcement, ROR, that may be all it takes. And once the dog starts to learn, you can gradually slow down the ROR. Story 22. I work for an airline. I manage the development of the system our call center agents use. Please and thank you will unlock magical doors of help when you're on the phone with the agents or are at the airport dealing with airport staff. Simple politeness no longer seems to exist in these interactions. I've shadowed agents to understand how they use what my teams develop, and I can count on 2 hands in the 150. 200 calls I've listened into over the last year where the caller was polite and acted decently towards the other human on the other end of the line. Story 23 for the US only. AccuWeather, along with the vast myriad weather apps, really just uses data provided for free by the Nation Weather Service. Oh, sure, they have forecasters, but no way do they have enough for every county and forecast. Most really just give overall forecasts for general areas. Instead of saying my app is more accurate, actually go find your local NWS office, and you can find a more specific forecast for your area that will tend to be more accurate overall. And remember, what the NWS literally gives away for free, these companies want to monetize and have you pay subscription fees for what already is free weather data. Story 24. You don't need your air ducts cleaned by a professional company. They're going to charge you out the ass. The equipment they use is going to fuck up your floors and walls, and you're probably going to cause as much damage to your house getting it done as you will pay for it. There's a chance they'll fuck up your ductwork or furnace too, $10-20-000 repair, and not even tell you if it happens, and just hope you wait long enough to notice the efficiency loss so they can deny it. Fact of the matter is, the EPA has done tons of studies. Cleaning your air ducts will not help your allergies or breathing. It will not increase efficiency by a noticeable amount. It might prevent a bit less dust from settling around your house for a while. And that's it. That's what you're paying $1,500 for, to have a tiny bit less dust settle around your house. They will sell you all these promises or try and upsell you on useless garbage like sprays or filters or UV lights. It is all a fucking scam.